What is something that people treat as shameful, but they shouldn't? Admitting that you don't know something. Dirty, manual labor. People look down at these professions as something you'd be stuck doing if you did poorly in school. But these professions are important in society. I'm talking about garbage collectors, HVAC installers and maintainers, custodians, and pretty much anything on dirty jobs. Being genuinely excited for stuff, like when people are really into gaming or sports or whatever. I feel like our culture likes to crap on people who have genuine interests. Doing stuff alone, eating at a restaurant, going to a movie. Hell, I've gone to Disneyland alone. It's amazing. You pick what you eat, the movie you see. No need to get other opinions or work around other schedules. I don't see why people freak out about doing something alone. It's so liberating. In some countries, talking to your kids about things like puberty, periods, etc. I have heard stories of poor girls who were terrified and thought they were going to die when they got their first period. For girls, periods. I'm seeing a guy and he wanted to come over, so I told him the situation. He was surprised by the honesty and appreciated it. I don't get why so many girls hide it / are ashamed of it. It's a natural thing that happens. Getting tested for an STD. There's no shame in worrying about your health. And in the chance you do catch something, wouldn't you want it taken care of ASAP? Mental health. I wish some family and friends didn't look at me as if I was a different creature and worth nothing. Admitting fault or that they're wrong. It's okay. It's normal. It's literally foundational for learning new things. People who judge you for admitting you're wrong are peens anyway. Being single at any age. Having a miscarriage. It's so taboo to talk about. But it really shouldn't be. I've had one. And since I've been more open about it, I've realized that a lot more people than I thought have also had one. It's not something to be embarrassed about. Fat people in the gym. Being a recovering alcoholic. Just because I don't drink doesn't mean I can't have fun, and I'm not going to bring you down because I'm too sober. Being a virgin. Crying. Everyone does it. You're not weak for doing it. Let it all out, man. It's healthy. Dads staying at home with their kids, or even taking time off to be with their kids. Living with your parents. Frick man, if I could afford a place of my own and live happily, I would've done it already. Saying no to people. Don't phrase something as a question if you don't want to hear my honest answer. Sweating. Nudity. Not wanting children. Not every woman was born with the burning drive to pop out many humans. It's perfectly okay to not want kids, and it's nowhere near selfish either. Masturbation. That crap's fun. Still being a virgin during or after college. Everyone always treats me like I'm a prude or weird, but in reality I just need a connection with someone to do it. Not knowing something or how to do something. There's a lot of people who won't admit they need help with something and would rather just stay silent until it becomes someone else's problem. There's also a very vocal portion of the population proud of their ignorance on many different topics. Being on their period. Women and teens hiding their tampons etc. when they need to go to the bathroom. Teenagers taking their whole backpack with them so the whole class won't know their vag is bleeding, etc. Acne. Asking the teacher questions in high school. If only I didn't see it as shameful back then too. Compassion. There's a movement in our society that sees caring for others, especially people you don't know personally, as weak and shameful, which is tragic in and of itself, even before the policy impacts. Working fast food. I don't anymore. I have a higher paying job. I'm making about $34 an hour now, but the reason I got hired over other people was because I was an assistant manager at Little Caesars for 4 years. Yeah, it's fast food and it's not the best, but I was a teenager. It worked with my schedule. I got promoted fast, and it helped me learn a lot of skills. It teaches a good fast work ethic and a sense of urgency. It teaches people skills I made friends from when I first started there that are my best friends now. A lot of people look down on food service, but it honestly helped me out a lot in life. Making mistakes. This applies especially to work. Not only that, the covering up actually makes a bad situation worse. It creates an environment in which everyone plays it safe and never take any risks. The don't fix it culture leads to complacency, and worse, the fear cripples anyone who wants to try something new. All of us frick up at work, in life frequently. It doesn't make you a failure or bad person. Taking a wet, sloppy, cacophonous crap in a public restroom. Own up to it. Everyone else in the restroom is using it for the same reason. Be proud of your mondo turds. Choosing to be a stay-at-home parent. It's hard work, and with the cost of childcare in my country, it can contribute more to a household than a job would in terms of pure monetary value. But also, on the other hand, women who are shamed for choosing their careers over staying at home with the kids. Like, leave them alone. They're allowed to be individuals and pursue their passions. Mental illness. Breastfeeding in public. Women and the number of partners she slept with. Peen size. It's something you can't help. Having depression. Shameful? Maybe. Embarrassing? For sure. But I'm not sure why. A UTI or urinary tract infection. You're not disgusting. Sometimes it just happens to people, and some people are more prone than other for reasons unrelated to being disgusting. Sensitivity. Some people get hurt more easily, take things harder, can't handle as much as others, and that doesn't make them weak or a snowflake. Now don't get me wrong, there is such thing as being too sensitive. And I'm not saying sometimes people don't need to suck it up and deal with crap. But people have different personalities. Some more quiet and sensitive. Just means we're all different. Living at home / with your family after you're 18. Not sure why, but America has such a weird stigma about people who don't separate entirely as soon as they're legally able. Not having the ideal body type. If your stomach sticks out, or your thigh touch or your boobs aren't perky, then it starts to be something you try to hide, since it doesn't fit into today's ideal standards. Failing something. Maybe cliche, but as long as you gave your hardest and learned something. Having been to prison. Having been in a mental health facility. Never make fun of someone who pronounces a word wrong, because it means they read it somewhere. Nipple hair on women. I grew up reading my mom's Cosmopolitans, and they'd talk about all sorts of embarrassing women's problems, periods, facial hair, cellulite, etc. But I never once read or heard about the fact that lots of women get hair on their nipples. Yet me and most of my good lady friends who I've talked about it with all have it. Guys using sex toys, especially fleshlights. As long as they clean them, I really don't see why it's shameful. Having suffered a miscarriage or infertility. Buying tampons for your girlfriend / wife. Various choices in clothing. If a woman wears something showing a lot of skin, they're shamed for apparently being some sort of slut. If a guy wears a singlet and comfy shorts, people assume they're some sort of trailer park trash / boggin who drinks or beats their wife. If a girl wears clothing of a style that's more traditionally associated with men's fashion, shamed for not being feminine enough. Assumed to be gay, and then shamed for that. If a guy outright wears any piece of clothing traditionally only women wear, shamed for being some sort of pervert, or a closeted homosexual or transgender person in denial. Basically, what random piece of fucking fabric a person decides to hide their genitals with / protect themselves from the sun for some reason is important enough that, if they choose the wrong clothing, it's shameful. Grown-ass women having sex. Two young people being in slight proximity to each other, getting one crappy grade in a sea of excellence, not sure about more serious problems. Men not knowing about cars. How many specialities are there in the world now? And because of my peen I have to give a crap and want to talk about how a car works, how many cylinders, make and model, what package it came with. Like, I don't know about you, but I do not know all this crap. It's my first car, and it gets me from A to B using man-made designated car ground. The frick else matters? Curse words, of which I believe there is no such thing. The idea that a word can be bad has always seemed to me to be one of the most backwards and archaic practices that humanity has stubbornly held on to. Words are inherently harmless, and badness of a word or phrase lies in how it is used and in the context, not in the word itself. which is why slurs are a thing, and why there's actually a case to be made for those being bad. But even those can be reclaimed and used positively amongst the groups they target. But other supposed bad words like crap or frick are just completely and inherently innocent things. After all, there are synonyms for those exact words that are supposedly good variants. And I really don't understand the mental disconnect it takes to tell someone to watch their language for saying frick, but not for saying frick or something similar. It just makes no freaking sense. And this generally applies to most other stigmatized curse words. After all, you don't have to use a curse word to be rude or offensive, which is how some dictionaries define curse words. So that kinda delegitimizes the whole idea of curse words. Pregnant used to be a prohibited word on television, cause it was considered offensive and indecent. Looking back on that now, we think it's bat crap crazy. That's how I see all curse words. I'm tired of being shamed for being an atheist. I'm tired of being told by people who don't know me that I'm going to the bad place just because I don't believe in their flavor of omnipotent being. That I'm just going through a phase, and that me doing any good deed, big or small, is proof that I'm actually godly. My lack of religion doesn't hurt you, so leave me be. Farting. It's perfectly normal. And for people like me with a lot of stomach problems, it's hard to fart publicly without getting a few looks. Head lice. Catching them only means you were exposed to them off someone else. It doesn't mean you're dirty. Most children catch them at some point. Rich, poor, clean, dirty, girl, boy, it doesn't matter. Your kids can still catch them. Body hair on women. It's just funny to me that men can have underarm hair, and that's normal. But if a woman has it, she's dirty and it probably smells. I understand if a woman does it for comfort, but I often wonder, when a woman says that, if she's ever even had armpit hair long enough not to itch. Of course it itches when it's growing, but once it gets to a certain length, you can't even feel it. Most of the world don't shave their underarms, and women in those countries aren't chronically uncomfortable. I understand at this point. It's more of a mental comfort, because of society and crap. But everyone else needs to acknowledge that and stop harassing or bullying women who don't fall into the trap. Leg hair doesn't even make freaking sense. Again, people are like, it feels better. It's nice when it's smooth, but have you ever had leg hair long enough to get past the sharp, itchy growing in phase? Leg hair is soft too. It's purely aesthetics and it's ridiculous. Pubis just makes me angry. This is the only one where I actually see a logical reason to shave to make period cleanup easier. Yet the argument for it is always by guys saying I don't want pubis in my teeth like Motherfrica. I bet you have a full-blown forest at the base of your peen. And guess what? Women don't enjoy pubis in their mouths, but we just sorta get over it. Because it's just a natural part of a guy's body. And how can we shame him for that? Be nice if our bodies were given the same consideration. But I guess that's too freaking hard for men to muster. Not that it matters. Because women are so conditioned to find their own bodies disgusting that most of them are as hairless as barely pubescent girls already. Just the way guys like it, apparently. Yes, I already know I'm gonna get called out on that point. But when teen is literally the most searched type of XXX there is, you don't really have a leg to stand on there. And yeah, there are more men who are shaving their bodies, but here's the difference: they aren't considered disgusting or clean if they choose not to. Unlike women, women don't have a freaking choice unless they are willing to shoulder the shame, bullying and harassment of being different. Look at any comment section on a woman with leg or underarm hair, even if the picture isn't about that, and you can guarantee there will be posts from men and women telling her she's dirty, no one will want her, and she needs to shave. Not following your dream. My husband of 13 years just left me 2 months ago, and everyone is telling me I'm selling myself short by settling for a quick degree that will result in a steady paycheck. Guys, my dream and talent is art. I can do it from home just fine, but it doesn't pay the bills. It's hard for them to realize I'm already living the dream. I have independence for the first time ever in my life. I don't have anyone telling me whether I'm allowed to go back to school. I keep my house. I pay my own bills. I make all my own choices. For the first time ever, what I do for a living doesn't dictate my self-worth, just like who I dated and married shouldn't have. It's entirely okay to have a run-of-the-mill 9-5er that you're not passionate about, but you can tolerate if it means you come home to smiles, love, and stability. Trying to learn a new game online. I get that noobs are lame, but damn, everyone has to start somewhere. But I get too intimidated and embarrassed about sucking that I just give up. Men being around kids, even if it's their own blood. Sex and the human body in general. Humanity is just way overly conservative when it comes to human sexuality, which is just a natural part of being alive. It's always bugged me. Periods and female body hair. It's a natural thing. Grow up. Anim. Eating ass. Being transgender. It was a huge struggle for me growing up in the South, US, and led to a lot of feeling that I could never be loved for who I was, and that I needed to hide who I was from everyone. This had intensely negative effects on almost every aspect of my life. I struggled to make and keep friends because I felt like I could never let them know the real me fully. What if they discovered the secret? My love life was an absolute train wreck. My friends and loved ones sitting around joking about the trannies while I'm sitting there knowing that really they are talking about people like me. Why couldn't I just be normal? I tried so very hard, but that made things even worse because I couldn't change who I was, and now I was even trying to hide from myself. There were some really dark times in there. I've finally been able to come out and live as myself, and I still get flack from people sometimes, but I know now that I have nothing to be ashamed of. I've been through a lot harder stuff than most of these naysayers can imagine, and I came out the other side finally happy. Some people still make sure I know just how much they hate me, and it still hurts to see just how much of the population feels that way, but they are the ones who should be ashamed. Whatever path life leads me down going forward, I'm going to walk it as myself. Nudity. There's nothing wrong with a human body. Mental illness. Why should someone be ashamed of being sick? Cannabis usage. Unfortunately, there are still many Americans suffering from reefer madness. Go Canada. Homosexuality. Having a big family. You only need to have 4 kids before people start making jokes. If a couple wants to have 12 kids, or none, why should that be any of your business? Any imperfections on the skin, dark spots, ache, scars, redness, moles, etc. People get so down on themselves because society and the beauty industry tell you to, and that you need to buy all these wicked expensive products to cover it up or make it go away. Fun fact, no one has 137 perfect skin, everyone has some flaw. In addition, I'm sick of being expected to cover any ache I have with makeup, or I'm unsightly sorry, but I'm not going to make it even worse or spread it because you think it's gross. Sex. It's a taboo subject here in our country. That's why kids get pregnant early cause they don't even know how to use a condom. They're gonna do it sooner or later, might as well teach them how to do it right and safe. I noticed every band I was in when I was younger hated the fact I was good with money. I remember getting yelled at because I turned down an opening spot for a national act. We were getting paid a grand total of free, no money, drink tickets, or guest list spots. I understand it's not always about the money, but why would I let someone profit off our work while we get nothing in return? Working low wage and or low skill jobs. I have much more respect for the guy cleaning bathrooms than I do for someone who goes without a job because they think they are too good to do that type of work. I own a small business, professional services, so most of my employees make $25 hour plus. I tell everyone in their interviews, the good news is that I'll never ask you to do anything I won't do. The bad news is that there isn't anything I won't do. I pick up trash in the parking lot, scrub the toilet if it needs it, fetch drinks and take out the trash. We are very small, less than 10 employees, so everyone has to jump in and do what needs to be done. TL/DR. There is no shame in putting in an honest day's work, even if that's low wage / low skill. Having a disability. Most people I've met take pride in their disabilities, embrace them, and treat it as a unique trait of theirs that makes them special and different from everyone else. But neurotypicals immediately take pity on someone with a disability. saying they're sorry for that person. It really depends on a disabled person's viewpoint. Going number 2. People staying with their partner who cheated on them. Nobody but the people in that relationship know the full context of the situation, and it's not anyone's place to judge. Not to mention that judgment often shifts the blame and hostility to the person who's been cheated on, which is extra unfair and exactly the opposite of what they need. I watch a lot of TV and used to be embarrassed about it until one of my professors, the smartest person I ever met, told me that she was unapologetically addicted to TV. I read a book every 2 weeks. I have a career I love. I'm married with a great kid. I take care of all my responsibilities. Exercise. Eat right. All the adult stuff. I have several hobbies I love, and I've published 2 books. I love a good story, and the format it comes in should not matter. I mean, I totally get making kids read instead of just watching TV all day. Because reading is a skill that needs to be honed. Still, why should I be forced to limit the format that a good story comes in? If a story seems interesting to me, I want to hear it, whether it's on a screen or in a book. I realize reading a book takes a little more effort than TV, but I don't get why people are so freaking smug about reading vs watching TV. Is a good story earned more if you read it vs watch it? As long as you have read enough to be able to read well, and you have that skill, I feel like it scarcely matters. I have even more distance for people who crap on audiobooks. Sometimes I like to listen to books while I scrub a toilet. Sometimes I have crap to do and don't have time to read a physical book. Frick me, right? I mean, obviously the same thing can be said for people who only watch TV. Well, limit yourself. You should be open to any skill that makes acquiring knowledge or hearing a wonderful story. Heck, a good book will usually make me want to watch the movie or TV show if it exists, and a lot of shows have made me want to read the books. I like seeing how stories adapt to different mediums. Don't even get me started on the people who loudly brag that they don't even own a TV, yet binge watch Netflix on their computer. I know at least 3 of those kinds of people, and it irritates me. TV shows are getting vastly more complex and deep too. I find character arcs, imagery, archetypes and all that stuff in TV and movies constantly. Still, if I binge watch Game of Thrones all weekend and someone else reads it all weekend, why am I such a piece of crap? As long as I handle my crap, I don't see why I'm being judged so harshly while the other person is lauded. I'm a reading teacher. Breastfeeding, in public or not. It shocks me even as a male to know that women are shamed for feeding their children. It's a nipple, not a machine gun. Going to the gym when you are obese. It's like being shameful during treatment when you are sick. Smoking weed.